Let's just start today on our knees. Nice flat feet behind us, sitting our tails right back onto our heels. And think about tucking our tail just a little bit. Open up that low back. And the hands can come to the thighs. We'll pull the shoulders back. Lift from the top of the head. And breathing deeply in and out through our nose. And inhale, lift our hands up high. Good. Exhale. Let's come over to the right. We'll lower that right hand down. We'll reach up and over with the left hand. Hips are still seating into our heels. And then inhale, we'll come up. And exhale over to the left. Good. And then inhale, hands come up high. And then exhale, let's bring those elbows out to the sides. Open up the heart. Maybe a little arch in the back. And then inhaling up. And then again, exhale, cactus arms. And back up. One more time, exhaling. Good, inhaling up. And now this time, let's lift those hips up off of our heels, reaching with our fingers, dropping the shoulders away from our ears, tucking the tail. And then exhale, let's turn to the left. We'll open up our arms to the sides, but still try and keep our hips pointing forward. Little twist here. And then inhaling back up to the sky. And then exhaling over to the right. Good, and inhaling back up to the sky. Let's tuck those toes as we flex the feet, reaching the fingers high, lifting the heart, pressing those hips forward, lifting our chin. And then exhale, let's take that left hand back to the left heel. Right hand can continue to reach up to the sky, hips coming forward, or we can even begin to reach back a little bit in baby camel here, or half camel. And then inhaling back up. Exhale, let's do some cactus arms here. Open up that chest. Good, inhale up. And now exhale, let's take that right hand back behind us. Find the heel, hips coming forward, chests are lifting high. And inhale back up to the sky. Softening the feet, let's bring those hips back down to our heels. We'll come down to a child's pose, dropping the head, rounding in our spine. Inhale, let's come up to a baby plank, bringing our shoulders over our wrists. Hips are coming forward, lengthening from tip to tip. And then exhale, we'll lower ourselves down. From here, let's take that left arm, bent elbow here, placing our shoulders close to our mat as we can, and we'll just roll backwards toward the left. Little shoulder opener. And then back to the center. I'll move over to the other side. So right arm in its cactus, and then we'll turn as we try to press that shoulder in toward the floor. It may not get there, but if we're working in that direction. Good, and back to the center. Let's bring those hands underneath of our shoulders. Pull those babies back. Inhale, let's scoop and lift into a baby cobra. And then let's press back to a child's pose. Inhale, bring that right foot forward into a lizard pose. Hands will be inside that right foot, and soften the left foot back behind us. Good. And now let's walk those hands back. We'll come to a half split here. Toes point up to the sky, turning that pelvis so that our tail is trying to point back behind us. Good. Inhaling, coming forward. Good. And now with this left foot, we're going to swish it inside. We're going to bring those hips backwards, and we'll sit down into a Janu Shirshasana. A little fold forward. And then inhale, let's coming on up, lift our chest. Let's bring that left hand back behind us, pressing into this left shin and the right heel. Lift those hips up to the sky for Stargazer pose. And exhale, let's lower that butt back down. Hands can come forward. We're going to roll over that left shin and find ourselves back in our lizard pose. Wasn't that graceful? Excellent. Let's step back, child's pose. Inhale up, little plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Good. From here, we're all the way down onto our tummies. Let's reach those hands back behind us, pulling the shoulders back like we want to touch our heels back behind, and we lift and reach. And then exhale, lower ourselves back down. Take a breath. And then again, hands will come back. Inhale, reach and lift. Now from here, if we're happy where we're at, we can stay here. Or if we would like, we can try and do some air swimming by gently moving our hands, one in front, one in back. Now let's bring both hands back behind. One more little lift. And then exhale all the way down. Hands come underneath of our shoulders. Let's press back to our child's pose. Good. Inhale. Let's come forward. Bring that left leg up into our lizard. Wiggle our way into it. And then exhale. Let's walk our way back for our half split. Lifting those toes up to the sky. Hands can come to the thigh, to the shin. We've got a block, or if we can reach that floor, chest is working toward the toes. Good, and then inhale, let's come forward. And then exhale, we'll swish this right foot in, work our way back, find ourselves in Janu Shirshasana on this side, and then when we're ready, exhale, folding forward. Inhale, raising up. Right hand will come back behind our hips, pressing into that shin and into our heel. Inhale. Nice high hips, open heart, stargazer pose. And exhale, lowering down. Good. Hands will come forward. We'll walk our way back up into lizard. And then we'll step back into our child's pose. Take a breath here. And then we'll tuck those toes, stretch out the arches and the Achilles tendon in our ankles. Pull those shoulders back, pressing into all of our fingers. We know what's coming next, lifting the hips, keeping the knees bended as we lengthen from our fingertips all the way up to our tail. And then we can begin to pedal the feet and press the heels down in toward the mat for downward facing dog. Good. From here, let's walk those hands backwards until the heels can find the floor. And then we'll sit our bums way low into a short Malasana Squat. Inhale, reaching high. And now exhale, big circles with our arms, knees and thighs come together as we sit down into our chair. Good, inhaling, nice and high. Good, exhale, chair again, sitting low. Breathing deeply. Good. Inhaling high. Good. Exhale. Let's sit really low into that Malasana Squat again. Hands can find the floor. We lift the hips and we walk those hands out into our downward facing dog. Lift up the right leg. And we'll step forward in between our hands this time for a lunge. Good. Left hand will stay on the floor. Right hand comes up to the sky. And now exhale. Let's lower that elbow all the way down toward the ground. And then inhale all the way up high with the fingers. And exhale. Let's lower that right elbow down toward the ground. One more time. Inhaling high. Good. Exhale. Hand comes close to the ground, or it can touch. And then both hands can find the floor again in our lunge. Let's inhale. Both hands can come up high. And we'll open up warrior two, lowering that left heel down, bending the right knee, opening our arms up in opposite directions, dropping the shoulders, lifting from those inner thighs, from the pelvic floor, from the top of the head. Good. Now let's lengthen in that right leg, shift the hips back, reach forward, and we'll come into our triangle pose here. Good. Let's come back to our warrior two. And we'll cartwheel those hands down to our mats. We're going to shift all the weight onto that right foot. Lift up the left. I'm going to turn and do my best not to fall down. Now from here, let's begin to lift our chest. We'll bring this left knee in towards us. Hands can come to our hearts. Doing our best to balance. And now let's take that left foot. We can bring it into our ankle or into our thigh for tree pose. Beautiful. Let's release. Hands can come back down to the mat, stepping back with that left foot all the way down to our lunge. And then stepping right foot back, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Let's walk those hands backwards. And we'll go all the way down into our Malasana Squat. Inhale, nice and high. Good. Exhale, big circles with those arms, sitting down into our chair. Good. Inhaling high. And one more time, sitting down into that chair. Good. Inhaling up. Good. And now from here, sitting low into that low Malasana Squat. And then hands can come down. Tipping forward, we'll walk our way out to downward facing dog. And we'll lift up that left leg. Stepping forward. Finding that lunge, wiggling our way into it. And then right hand will stay on the floor, left hand reaches up high, little twist here. And now exhaling, we'll come down, bending the elbow, see if we can touch it to the floor or near the floor, and then inhale up. And exhale down. Inhaling high. And exhaling down. One more time. Inhale up. And exhale. Lowering that elbow down toward the mat. And then both hands can find their spot on either side of that left foot. Looking for that balance. Inhale, high lunge. Good, and now let's open up warrior two. Lowering that right heel down, bending the left knee. And now, triangle pose, lengthening that left leg, shifting those hips back, reaching forward. And then dropping the arm when we're ready. And now let's come back to our warrior two. And we'll cartwheel those hands down. Find the lunge. And then we'll begin to shift the weight into that left foot for a three-point balance, lifting that right leg back behind us. Breathing into our belly, active core. And then when we're ready, slowly coming up, bringing the knee in with us. Hands can come to our hearts. And then when we're ready, setting ourselves up for tree, placing that right foot into the left leg. And then we'll gently release. And we'll step all the way back to our low lunge. And then we'll step the left back to the right, downward facing dog. Paddle it out if we need. Good, let's inhale forward into a plank. Strong plank here. Exhale, shoulders come forward, elbows go back as we lower ourselves down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Good, you're gonna love me. Inhale forward into our plank. And now let's go into our side plank. So we'll shift our weight into our right hand and open up. Left hand comes to the sky. Hips come up high. Good, and slowly we'll come back down. Regular plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. And then coming on back down to our tummies. We'll bring those elbows underneath of our shoulders, pressing into our forearms and into our hands, pulling those shoulders back, tucking the tail, tucking the toes, lifting into a forearm plank. Good, and now let's press our hips back for dolphin pose. So like forearm downward facing dog. Good, coming on back forward. We'll come back up onto our hands and then press back, downward facing dog. Guess what? We get to do that on the other side. Let's inhale forward into our plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale forward into our plank. Good. Shifting over to that left hand side plank. Beautiful. Back down to our regular plank. Shifting forward, lowering down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Good. Let's lower our chest back down to the mat. Bring those elbows underneath of our shoulders. Pressing into those forearms, into the hands, tucking the toes, lifting up, forearm plank. Good, and now let's press back for dolphin pose. Good, inhaling forward. And then we'll come back up onto our hands. And we'll press back, downward facing dog from here. Beautiful. Let's walk our feet forward. And our hands can come back. We'll find ourselves in about the middle of our mat. Open up our feet a little bit wider than our hips, and we'll lower back down into our Malasana Squat. Hands come to our hearts, lifting the heart, lowering the butt. And then from here, let's tuck our chin ever so much, ever so little, so that we can open up the back of the neck. Good, and now let's take this left hand. I'm going to turn around so you can see. Left hand comes down to the mat. Turning our shoulders, lifting up the right. And back to the center. And then we'll lower down that right hand and lift up the left. Little twist here. And back to the center. Good. And then our hands will come down. We'll lower the knees. We'll soften the feet. We'll come into child's pose. Good. Let's swish those feet over to one side. And we'll come all the way down onto our backs. We'll roll up into our little ball. We can give ourselves a tiny massage if we would like. And then we can settle into our egg. Take a deep breath here. Good. And then we'll hold on to that right leg, lengthen the left. Let those shoulders and our heads relax down into our mat. And then we'll release that right leg, guide it across our body for a spinal twist here. Left hand can touch the knee if we would like, or it can come out to the side. If we are touching the knee, we're not forcing that knee down. We're just maybe adding a little bit of weight to help continue to guide that knee in the direction that we're looking for. And then we'll come back to the center. Both knees into our chest. And then we can release that right leg, hug tightly in that left knee. Use those arms. The legs shouldn't be working at all. It should all be in our arms, hugging that shin tight, tight, tight into our body. Good. And then let's release that knee and guide it across to the right. Even out the twist here. Good. And let's come on back to the center. Hug those knees into our body. Good, and let's inhale, lifting the hands and feet up to the sky. Give ourselves a little wiggle in the toes and the fingers. Roll around in those ankles. Reaching and pressing, and then exhale slowly, slowly, slowly. We'll lower those hands and feet down to the mat. This is our ab exercise. So let's make it count, right? When we finally reach the ground, press those feet down below us. We reach the fingers up above us. And now we'll go into banana. So we'll take our left hand and hold on to our right wrist. We'll just guide our shoulders over to the left, keeping both shoulder blades pressing into our mat. But our hips stay exactly where they are. Good. And once those shoulders are where we're at, then we walk those feet over to the left as well. So we're making ourselves into a beautiful banana or crescent shape here. And keep our feet side to side if we would like, or we can even cross that right leg over the left at the ankle. And then we'll gently release, come back to the center. Again, make ourselves nice and long. And we'll move over to the other side, right hand, and hold the left wrist. We'll scoot our shoulders over, keeping both shoulders and both hips sitting onto our mats. We're just sliding over, and then the feet will come over when they're ready. We find that good stretch from one top end all the way down to the bottom end of our body. Good, and then let's release, come back to the center. One last stretch here. And then big exhale. Let everything just relax. Find a good comfy spot. We close our eyes. And we soften throughout our entire body. We soften our thoughts. Just let our mind wander. Wherever it goes is fine. And we deepen our breath. And bring gentle movements into our body. And let's bring those knees into our chest. And we'll roll over onto our side. And gently help ourselves up to seated. And we'll bring our hands together at our hearts. Give ourselves thanks for all of the gifts that we just gave us. Your presence and dedication to yourself is just about the best gift that anyone could ever receive. And I thank you so much for joining me, for allowing me to help you through your practice, to give you all of those little presents today. Wish you a very, very happy day. The light in the divine in me recognizes and respects the light in the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.